Welcome to the Warbird Mistress. This is London Calling. Good evening. This is a report of activities for Friday, 13 July 1940. The overnight hours brought us no activity reported over the home isles, but Mr. Hitler kept his Luftwaffe busy as his pilots were spotted on mine-laying operations in the Thames estuary. Today the early morning fog remained thick but had cleared by mid-morning, offering the first clear day in some time. The combat today began in the afternoon when, at 1500 hours, a trio of Spitfires from No. 609 Squadron and a dozen of No. 238's Hurricanes were sent from Wormwell to meet one of our channel convoys off Lyme Bay. Unable to spot their charges, they sure spotted Jerry. A large formation of bomb-laden Bf-110 fighters from 5 LG-1 were coming in below them, and our boys dove into the attack with the spring sun at their backs. A single 110 was shot down and another two sent limping back home by the RAF. However, a single Hurricane was also lost, not to enemy fire, but to a stalled engine that put him into high-tension cables on his landing approach. Another attack came over the channel at 1730 hours, this time over the White Cliffs of Dover as the hungry Hun went for convoy bread. Sent to intercept the enemy were a flight of No. 56 Squadron's Hurricanes and a flight of Spitfires from 6-4 Squadron. Taking on 19 Messerschmitt 109s and a dozen of the lumbering Stuka dive bombers, our lads splashed a fighter and damaged two of the U-87s. Unfortunately, 2 Hurricanes were lost in the melee, and friendly fire from anti-air defenses damaged another 2 Spitfires, who then had to force land at Hawkinge. Mr. Hitler could count it a victory for his pirating pilots, as HMS Vanessa, a V-class destroyer, was heavily damaged by the gold-winged fiends. Today's losses for Germany and Britain counted 6 aircraft each. Jerry lost 11 pilots and aircrew, while British losses totaled 5 airmen. Flying Spitfire R6807 with No. 263 Squadron, Sgt Ian Watson-Parker of the RAF Volunteer Reserve was killed when his craft crashed for unknown reasons at 15:05 hours on Skid Hill near Tattsville outside Biggin Hill. A qualified Gladiator and Hurricane pilot, he had been assigned to ferry the aircraft for 610 Squadron. He stalled on his landing approach at between 400 and 500 feet, and not yet having lowered his gear. He spun into the ground and was killed on impact, thus making his first flight in a Spitfire his unfortunate last. Flight Lieutenant John Connelly Kennedy of No. 238 Squadron was killed when his plane, Hurricane P2950, crashed. A native of Sydney and the first Australian killed in the Battle of Britain, he had joined the RAF in 1937. Believed injured by gunfire from a Dornier 17, he had disengaged from combat and attempted to make his way back to Middle Wallop when he crash-landed at Southton Littlemore, while trying to avoid ground obstacles as he evaded German escort fighters in his pursuit. He was killed on impact and the plane was written off as a loss. Sgt James Roy Cowsill of the Volunteer Reserve, flying Hurricane N2432 with No. 56 Squadron, is reported missing and is presumed dead. From Muncaster and Cumberland, his final action began with fatally damaging a U-87, the bomber crash-landing at Cap Grinet near Visson in the Pas-de-Calais, before engaging the escorting 109s. He was last seen in combat with a single Bf-109 before crashing into the channel. Torpedo boat crews found no sign of his body, but did recover parts of the aircraft, including one fatefully bearing his serial number. Sgt Joseph James Whitfield of Goldthorpe, Yorkshire, was flying over the channel near the Calais coast when he was shot down by Oberleutnant Fozo of 4 Jagerschwader 51. He crashed into the channel and is missing and presumed drowned. He flew Hurricane P2922 and served with No. 56 Squadron. Sgt Raymond Robert Grenville Birch, former cartoonist and contributor to Punch, was killed when Spitfire R6688 stalled during a steep turn during dogfight practice. The turn became an uncontrolled dive and the plane crashed near Balsam, Linton, Cambridgeshire. A board of inquiry found that the blackout was likely the immediate cause of the No. 19 Squadron pilot's death. the situation being exacerbated by practicing dogfighting at too low an altitude. From his death comes a requirement that any pilot ever deemed unfit for flight for any reason may not again fly until cleared by a medical board, as well as his unit command. Thank you for tuning in to the Warbird Mistress. This is London Calling, a day-by-day detail of the Battle of Britain, and I hope that you subscribe, watch the playlist for new editions, and do check out other offerings on this channel. Subscriptions through Patreon and YouTube are more than welcome to keep this channel going. Thank you and take care.